Alright, what is up everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we're talking about the Golden State Warriors. They have been kind of struggling recently. They lost 4 of their last 5. Overall, they're 10-10 on the season. And there's just a lot of things I don't like watching this team. We're going to talk all about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. Link to my Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So today we're talking about the Warriors. They have been kind of struggling recently. They got off to a pretty not bad of a start. You know, the first probably week and a half-ish of the season, it was like, oh shoot, the Warriors are actually here now. At least that's what I was thinking. And they have recently just fallen since then. They lost 4 of their last 5 games. They lost on Wednesday, blew a lead to the Houston Rockets. And now they're 10-10 on the season. They're at 500. And yeah, watching this team, there's just things I don't like about what this Warriors team is doing right now. First, diving into the numbers and all that stuff, their offense is not great. They're the 22nd ranked offense in the league. Their offense just is not that great. Look at their offensive numbers. They're 21st in points per game. You know, they're 23rd in field goal percentage. They get up a lot of threes. They lead the league in three-pointers made. They're second in three-point attempts, and they're about average in percentages. But they still don't get to the free throw line a lot. 22nd in free throw attempts, 22nd in rebounds, 25th in turnovers. They turn the ball over a lot. 21st in second chance points, 27th in fast break points, 29th in points in the paint. There's just a lot of things offensively that they're like near the bottom of the league in. You know, and for a team that has this many veterans and a team with Steph Curry on it and all that stuff, this is just not the offensive production that you would hope to have. You know, like it really comes down to they just have a lot of players that they're playing right now that are just kind of not capable of making plays. Like their role players are just not good right now. They don't have outside the top 3 of Jimmy, Steph, and Draymond. I don't trust anybody with the ball in their hands on this team besides those 3 guys. No, I don't trust any of those 3 guys to go. Anyone besides those 3 guys to go out there and make plays consistently for this team, and for a team that, you know, with championship expectations, you know, with a team that has high expectations and wants to win, this is just not the type of team and not the type of product that you want to see out there. You know, it doesn't give you that much confidence or hope that this could be a championship team. Over half their shots are threes. 50.6% of their field goal attempts are 3-pointers, which they're the only team in the league that takes half their shots that are threes. You know, and so they're a team that kind of lives and dies by the 3-point line. If they're not making threes, they're not going to win. You saw it on the Rockets game. You know, in the Rockets game, they came out the first half, they're pretty nice. The second half, they shot 2 for 21 from 3, and they got outscored by 16. If they're not making threes, like, they're not going to be able to win. They don't have any other game plan. It's really just hope that the 3-point shot goes in, and yeah, that's all we really have to hope for. You know, like they don't have really a backup plan or anything else to get to. You know, and it really sucks, especially in that Rockets game. Steph Curry struggled, you know, with 2 for 9 shooting from 3 in that game. The team they shot 28% from 3 as a team. You know, they had 8 players everyone that played at least 15 minutes took at least 3 threes. Yeah, they're a team that just heavily relies on the 3-point shot. And at this point, that's just not a sign. That's not a recipe to win, especially when they're a team that doesn't have a high-powered offense. It doesn't have all these insane shooters. You know, they have the best shooter of all time, but that's really it. You know, also a thing that really surprising, they're not good. They're 3-5 in clutch games. For a team that has veteran leadership, for a team that has some remnants of some players that have championship DNA, and for again a veteran-led team, they're in the clutch. They're not good. They've lost a lot of close games. I mean, they beat the Nuggets in overtime. You know, in their second game, which is like okay, but since then, yeah, they lost to the Bucks without Giannis. That was a clutch game. Lost to the Kings, you know, in a clutch game. They lost to the Blazers, and they lost to the Rockets. You know, they have a bunch of just not that good clutch losses. And in specifically clutch games, their defense sucks. 21st defense, 20th net rating. They have a negative 9.7 net rating in clutch games, which is 23rd in the league. So in clutch games, they're not able to win. I mean, they beat the Spurs twice back to back, which was like a good sign. But since those two Spurs games, they're 2-4. So those games, I thought maybe they win those games, they find some confidence, they go on a run. They didn't do that. And honestly, looking back at those two games, they really only won those two because Steph Curry was just went nuclear and dropped 40 in both of those games. That's it. Really. If Steph doesn't do that, they lose those games for sure. Looking at it. Defensively, they have a top 10 defense. It doesn't look bad on paper. Look at all their defensive numbers. They're about average, basically, in everything. They don't excel at anything, but they also aren't horrible at anything. They just kind of like average at everything defensively, and that ranks out to good numbers. But when you watch them on the court, and you watch their press game, their post game conference and all that stuff, all they're talking about is how much their defense sucks. Like Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, they've been very vocal about like defensively we're just not good. Like we can't get stops, and it shows in clutch games. They have a bottom 10 defense. In clutch games and close games when it actually matters, they have not been able to get stops. They haven't been able to rebound the ball. They're not a good rebounding team. They still don't have a lot of size out there, and that's you if you can't guard in the clutch, you can't get stops in the clutch, you're not gonna be able to win consistently in the league. That's just how it works. So yeah, you see that, and really, you look at the construction and the others around this team, and they just don't have that. Like they're still super reliant on Steph Curry to be like a top 5 player in the league to win games. And Steph Curry's still great at 37. He's still showing that he is a star in this league, an all NBA type player. Like he's still very, very good, but it just is so tough to rely on a 37-year-old to be like top 5 in order to win, not even just to win games in the regular season, to win a game in November and December. They have to rely on Steph Curry to be like drop 35. It's like with the Clippers right now with James Harden, where James Harden literally has to be all NBA James Harden for the Clippers to even be competitive in games. It just is, it's tough to ask and rely on that. And now we learn after the Rockets game, he has a quad contusion and he's going to be out for about a week, which is fortunate for the Warriors that it's not longer. He got lucky there. But now a week without Steph Curry, I don't know if the Warriors can hold up. Jimmy Butler has been fine this year. He hasn't been anything super spectacular, but he also hasn't been horrible. He's just kind of been fine, which honestly is probably not the best for the Warriors. They probably need Jimmy to do more. You look at his splits and his wins and losses. It really is based on how efficiently he's shooting the ball. In wins, he shoots like 53% from the field. Like in wins, he's efficient as heck. In losses, those numbers drop significantly. He shoots like 46% from the field and 20% from three in losses. So really, it's about him shooting the ball efficiently. Like he still has games where he has like 16 points, a couple of rebounds, a couple of assists. And isn't really as aggressive as you want him to be. So you still need that. And then Draymond Green does Draymond Green things, but again, his impact is more on the defense side of the ball and for winning basketball. For a 10-10 team, it doesn't really do much. And again, what you're really looking at here is the role players on this team and the young guys that they have invested in to, try to take the throne for some of these guys and try to build the timelines of like we have young guys that can help winning right now, but also be in the future. That's not working. It hasn't worked for 5 years, and it's still not working now. The whole Jonathan Kuminga situation, where in the offseason, that was the only thing we heard about was Jonathan Kuminga. Do the Warriors actually want Jonathan Kuminga? He doesn't want to be on the Warriors anymore. The Kings might want him, but the owner really still loves Jonathan Kuminga, and they want to give him. Eventually, they end up giving him a deal. And the first like 4 or 5 games of the year, he looked really good. He was fitting into the offense. He was hitting threes. He was making passes. He was playing defense. And it was like, oh, shoot, Kuminga's actually bought in. This is insane. And that quickly changed. I mean, it changed like that. That was literally, we got like 3 or 4 games of that. And then it was back to the old Kuminga, where he's not shooting the ball efficiently. He's not playing defense. He's turning the ball over a lot. And now we have the injury side where he's hurt. He hasn't played in a while. We still don't know at all, like, when he's coming back, if he's coming back. Steve Kerr and them aren't commenting on if Kuminga is healthy or not. Like, we still don't know. And it's looking like another chapter of this saga where Jonathan Kuminga does not want to be on the Warriors anymore. He hasn't wanted to be in the Warriors for 2 or 3 years now. They should have got rid of him years ago. And I honestly, like in the offseason, I said every time I talk about Jonathan Kuminga, like I really want Jonathan Kuminga to be on another team because I'm just tired of this like cycle of like, he starts of the year, he's not playing. And it's like, why is he not playing? He should be good. And then he gets a load of minutes, has a game or two that's good. Then it's like, oh shoot, Kuminga's the future of the Warriors. And then he has a couple bad games, and it's like, oh, okay. And then eventually he ends up getting out of the rotation again or getting hurt. And then it's another. It's just like the same cycle for the last 3 years. It's felt like, and we just kind of know what's gonna happen, and things aren't changing. And at this point, it's time. It's time to trade Jonathan Kuminga. Like if he's still on the Warriors past like the trade deadline, I think that would be a failure and a disappointment. He just needs to get to a new situation for both those sides' sake. For Kuminga to maybe to grow as a player, and for the Warriors to grow as a team. Those two need to separate and move on. Brandon Pajemski, he, he's kind of just whatever. I mean, he had a really good year one. Last year it was eh. He started off bad, then eventually he had some games. And I mean, the numbers wise, it's not bad. He's increased his numbers, but it's just not the kind of increase that you would want to see. Like he's not a starter really anymore on this team. Like he lost his starting spot like 2 or 3 games into the season. Um, Again, with the ball in his hands, you don't trust him that much. Defensively, he's not been that great. He turns the ball over a little bit. He fouls. He he just I don't know. It doesn't look. It doesn't look like he's really growing into the player that they want him to be and they need him to be. He's still kind of just like a cool little role player, and they kind of need more than that from him. Buddy Hield has been like non-existent. I forget Buddy Hield plays for this team sometimes. I mean, he's shooting 31% from three. He just hasn't been able to do much. He's one of those guys where if he's not knocking down threes, he's not doing anything on the court. And right now, he's not knocking down threes. Al Horford, who they brought in, it looks like age is finally caught up. He's shooting 34% from the field. When he's playing out there, he doesn't really make a whole big of an impact that we expect from Al Horford. He's only played in 12 games because, again, he's older. And he just hasn't really been much. Um, yeah, it's just kind of tough, Like Gary Payton the second shouldn't really be playing anymore because he doesn't really provide much to the game at all. Like I looked at on-off numbers for this team and for these role players, and outside of the big three of Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, I was like, who are the better role players? There's only two other players on this team that are like a positive, and that's Moses Moody and Quinn Post. Those are the only two guys where the Warriors have a better net rating with them on the court than off the court. Everybody else, the Warriors are better with them off the court. Kuminga, Pajemski, Buddy Hield, Al Horford, Gary Payton, all those guys, even Will Richard, who I think has been solid. I mean, he was a 56 overall pick, and he's like a rotational guy for them. And he honestly probably should be playing a lot more because he's just like a really smart basketball player. Even he has he's a negative when there's on the court. So it's just the construction of this team and the role players, the young role players that they want to take the mantle aren't doing that. They've kind of just like plateaued. That's what it really like. Pajemski is plateaued. Kuminga is plateaued. They've all kind of plateaued and they're just kind of the same. It's tough. It's really hard to try to develop young players when you still want to win championships. It's hard to do that. That's not something that can just happen, you know? And if the Warriors are really serious about competing and contending for another championship, it looks like they are because they still have Steph. They made the Jimmy trade last year and gave Jimmy a contract before he even stepped on the court. So, and that was a move to kind of insinuate, hey, like this is real. We're going all in. They need to They need to shake something up. Like Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, Buddy, like they need to package those guys together and go get some actual good, like high IQ basketball players for this team. Because this roster is just not it in terms of competing and contending for a championship. They don't do that. The one positive thing is Moses Moody is pretty solid. Moses Moody is probably the best outside of Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond. Moses Moody is probably the best player. I mean, he's shooting the ball well. He's been like no conscious shooting it. He's had some big games. Like he's doing his thing. Besides that, there's not really anything else on this team that you can look at and be like, yeah, this is it. So yeah, I think it's time for the Warriors to really make another move. Again, I don't think Jonathan Kuminga should be on this team. past February. They need to bring in some guys that can actually play with this team and actually want to compete and actually could fit this roster. Because right now, this roster construction is not going to win you anything anytime soon. You know, like just watching this team again, they're so reliant on Steph Curry to have to do like everything. It's Steph Curry to be like 2016 Steph, which is just like kind of unfair to him. You know, being a 37-year-old that has been dealing with injuries, you know, like it just it is tough, man. These role players in this construction, this team is just not very good, and something needs to change over there. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.